What is going on, everyone, and welcome to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, before we get into the more regular Reddit story stuff today, and don't worry, we're going to get into that, I first of all need to tell you about an article and a story that I've seen online, which has absolutely just shocked me and blown my mind. As you can tell by the title of this one, this is technically r/EntitledParents. I think the story that you're about to see goes a long way beyond that, but I just had to show you guys. I had to bring it to your attention. Here it is. Now, talk about titles of news articles. This is on Daily Express US, and the title of this article is Boy, 10, crushed to death by £340 foster mum after she sat on him for misbehaving. So yeah, as I say, this obviously goes beyond what we'd normally expect from entitled parents. This is just, yeah, murder, a little bit further than the usual stuff. But I just have to tell you about this story. It just blew me away when I saw it. So, Jennifer Wilson has been charged with involuntary manslaughter after her £340 frame caused the death of 10-year-old Dakota Levi Stevens in Berrien County, Michigan, court document says. Which is just insane. For Europeans, £340 is roughly, let me do some maths on the fly, about 150, 160 kg, roughly around there. Like, it's insane. It's double my weight, and I'm not a light person. Like, if I was lying on a 10-year-old boy, not in that way, I probably shouldn't be making jokes given what's happened here. If I was lying on a 10-year-old boy, I would be thinking, okay, this is going to be a struggle for them to breathe. Two of me? Yeah, that's insane. Anyway, here we go. Here's a picture of the lad and his foster mum. Just such a sad story. A 10-year-old boy was crushed to death after his £340 foster mum sat on top of him after he acted up, according to court documents. Jennifer Wilson was apprehended in Berrien County, Michigan, and could face up to 6 years behind bars. 6 years only is just, like, that's just insane. If you're telling me that she genuinely didn't realize that she's so fat that she could kill a child, then that's not a reason for her not to get more than 6 years. Surely that's still murder. I don't know. Get your comments down below, guys, as we go through this. Anyway, court filings say that she informed the police that Dakota Levi Stevens had fled earlier in the day, and she discovered him at a neighbor's residence. According to the court papers, the foster mum claimed Dakota began to misbehave when they returned home, throwing himself on the ground outside her house. It's alleged that she sat on Dakota while contacting his caseworker, during which time the boy screamed and eventually ceased moving. She confessed to the police that she initially believed the child was pretending until she rolled him over and noticed his eyelids were unusually pale. The foster mother disclosed to investigators that she sat on Dakota for approximately 5 minutes. 5 minutes with 160 kilograms on top of you as a 10-year-old boy. It goes on to say Dakota weighed 91 pounds. So what's that? About 40 kilos, roughly? 42 maximum? It's hardly anything. 91 pounds is a quarter of her body weight. Absolutely insane. While Wilson tipped the scales at £340. Goodness me. The Department of Child Services had assigned the child to her care just 1 month prior to the incident, reports the Mirror US. And it's just so sad. Here's another picture of him. I mean, look, obviously his weight isn't really that important. I think even if I was under the weight of someone twice my weight, I'd be struggling to breathe. But he's a 10-year-old kid. It's absolutely insane. The court affidavit reveals that Wilson appeared visibly distraught when police arrived. By the time they reached the scene, Dakota had stopped breathing and had no pulse. Now, look, it's one thing being visibly distraught when you realize that you've killed your foster child, and only a psychopath wouldn't be visibly distraught or genuinely distraught. But if she genuinely thought that sitting on somebody a quarter of her weight for 5 minutes wasn't, maybe not kill them, but going to have serious ramifications to their health, then she must be the most stupid person of all time. Since when is sitting on a child ever been a good form of punishment ever? I don't know. He was airlifted to a nearby medical facility where he was taken off life support just 2 days later. The St. Joseph County Coroner's Office declared Stevens' death a homicide. Good. The affidavit also disclosed that authorities discovered a 20-second clip from Ring video cameras showing Wilson lying on the boy's neck and head area while he screamed. So it wasn't just on his body in its entirety, it was on the most important part of his body. I mean, it's just insane. Another video from the same camera showed Dakota still screaming as Wilson remained on top of him, his cries gradually fading. Dakota, Wilson can be heard yelling multiple times when she realizes the child has stopped moving. She then instructs one of her other children to dial 911. "I was laying on him and he was acting bad," Wilson is heard saying in the video. Wilson had 3 other adopted children living in her home. Department of Child Services spokesman Brian Heineman confirmed her foster parents' license is currently suspended and under review for revocation. So there we go. I mean, that's a story. And I felt like I just had to bring it to you guys. Obviously, a lot more serious than the normal stuff that I cover on my channel. But it's just an insane story that I thought I just had to bring you lot. I just do not understand how she's gotten away with only getting up to 6 years in prison. That's the one thing I just do not understand. And again, I don't think that she was trying to kill the kid. Like, I'm not saying that for 1 second. But if you have to give someone a punishment that is worthy of what they did. And she has killed a 10-year-old child. How can that be only 6 years? And it's not as if, you know, she was driving along at the speed limit and he ran out in front of the road and she happened to hit him and then he died and it wasn't her fault. This is all her fault. It's like entirely her fault. So I just think 6 years is an absolute disgrace. But yeah, there we go, guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Crazy story to start things off. Now let's jump back on Reddit for a more normal story. But wow, yeah, I had to bring that one to you. Mum says she can unlock the door of her 24-year-old child's room and let herself in without permission because it's her house. I think she might be an entitled mum, or maybe I'm just a trashy kid. I'm 24 years old and a college student. I've worked in a bar for the last 2 years, and though it's a stable job, I still don't make enough to move out. I've had other higher paying jobs, but my area is just too expensive. And due to having moved to this state with my parents immediately after graduating high school and growing up a military kid, constantly moving and struggling to ever keep contact with friends that I did make because of it, I had no friends in the area that I could just move in with, and I have too much paranoia to live with strangers. I've just been living with my parents until I finished college, doing it online because my parents didn't want me having to live in a dorm and be away from them, which I should be graduating next year, and then hopefully move in with the only person I've managed to be so close with by then. We just live in separate states right now, so it's taking time. Anyways, my parents have always been very weird when it came to raising me and my older sister. There's a lot of instances, I have plenty of stories, but this one just annoys me the most and causes me anxiety. My parents' house is big, but every room except the master bedroom is pretty small. My bedroom can only fit my bed, dresser, and TV stand comfortably, so my desk and computer and bookshelf and my ferret and his big cage are in the bedroom next to mine that's used as an office for me instead. I'm 24, so obviously I love having some privacy, especially since I spent most of my life being heavily monitored and coddled by my parents, specifically my mum, because I was diagnosed with Asperger's at 4, and a bunch of other things that keep adding up as I see doctors. My sister actually told me she was a bit relieved about how little they ever paid attention to her because they were so focused on me. I was coddled so much by my mother that I'm only now learning things like cooking or doing laundry, which she still keeps me from doing because it has to be done this way, not that way. And when I ask for help, she gets mad and tells me to figure it out myself. Anyways, rambling all this to say that our mum still hovers and overwhelms me with how on top of me she is. But the worst of it is probably the fact she will let herself into my bedroom or office whenever she wants, most of the time without announcement. Reminder, I'm an adult. I'm also AFAB, and again, an adult. Though my parents don't believe I do things like that because I'm their baby who never seems interested and acts disgusted, but I act that way to keep my dad from making jokes and comments about me. So besides existing, I also do adult things in my private time. Obviously, I'll lock the door, but does that stop her? Absolutely not. So even if I'm in my office playing video games, I'll keep one end of the headphones off at all times so I can listen out for my mum moving around nearby. Goodness me, that is not going to be good for your situational awareness depending on what game you're playing. I won't have anything to hide, but my anxiety will go through the roof. Besides that, because of my dad, I hate anyone coming up or sneaking up behind me without my knowing, and she insists on my computer facing the door, so my back is to the door. So I lock my door to prevent people from doing that. Like any human being, I also lock my door when I'm changing in my bedroom. And what does my mum do? She finds my door is locked, unlocks it, and lets herself in. There was this one time, for example, where I was in my bedroom in the middle of changing. I'm literally completely topless, boobs to the wind, when I didn't hear her approach my door. All I hear suddenly is the sound of my doorknob, the lock being switched from the outside, and then the door being thrusted open. And what did I do? I body slammed the door shut and nearly hurt her doing it. I don't know what it is, but even if it's my mum, who insisted on bathing me until I was nearly 14, okay, we need to discuss that. The thought of anyone seeing me in any state of undress, even if it's just in my underwear, feels disgusting and makes me panicky. So I'm not joking when I say I was hyperventilating when I slammed into the door to shut it and was quickly trying to dress. Now while I'm doing that, my mum is shoving into the door, trying to force it open, yelling to let her in, and that she wanted to tell me to do something. I told her no, that I'm changing and she can't come in. She gave up getting in, mostly because I'm a fairly strong person despite never working out, unless you count picking up tables and kegs at work for fun exercise. I just like picking up heavy things to see if I can. Respect, but I will say, the fact that she bathed you until you were nearly 14 is actually disgusting. I mean, in a hygienic sense, I imagine it's quite good for you, but in every other sense, it's disgusting. And also, I guess that depends on how good your mother is at cleaning you. Loads and loads of factors here. The main being, it's disgusting. When I finally let her in, after changing, she's huffing and mad at me, demanding to know why I wouldn't let her in. I repeated that I was changing, and she said, "So? I'm your mother. I made that butt so I can look at it." Sorry, she said what? For audio listeners, I've turned on my camera here to show my utter dismay at what I've just read. I made that butt so I could look at it. Well, if that's not the most loving thing you've ever heard from your mother, I'm not sure what is. Let's carry on. I ignored that and said my door was locked and that she shouldn't just be letting herself in and unlocking my door. She responds with, "I can do what I want. It's my house. If I want in your room, then I'll come into your room. I can unlock your door if I want. What if there was an emergency? What if you were dying? What if I was dying?" I said, "I don't care. I'm an adult. This is my private space. You do not just let yourself in whenever you want. I don't disrespect you and let myself into your room and unlock your door. Don't do it to me." She just got mad and ran off, forgetting what she was going to tell me to do. Okay, and that is the end of the post, although OP has added a couple of edits with a lot more information, which I think is very relevant. First of all, thank you for all the replies giving advice and reassuring me. I'll look into a door stopper. I just worry about her reactions, since just a few years ago, a bad experience with my dad and locked doors left me sobbing and in a panic attack on the bathroom floor while he pounded the door until it nearly broke, calling me a lot of things. So I get a lot of anxiety about my parents' reactions to being unable to get to me. I'll definitely try to get a stopper when I get paid next. Now, some more information. First of all, I don't pay rent. They want me to, and were going to have me start last year until my insurance skyrocketed, and so it's been harder for me to keep any money saved up. Secondly, it may be some time before I can fully move out due to money and the situation with my best friend, but I've been planning to pursue my master's after I finish my bachelor's at a school less than an hour away that's close to my work and requires freshmen to live on campus. The original plan was getting an internship out of state for a month or so to get practice being more independent, but I didn't get accepted to my choices, so I'm relying on pursuing a master's now for a good excuse for them to allow me to live away from them. Third, I'm not a legal dependent. Back in 2018, a month before my 18th birthday and right after I graduated high school, my parents insisted we get me an attorney and open a case to make me their dependent. I didn't want to. I knew it meant I'd have to stay forever, that I'd be stuck at home. I said I didn't want to do that, but they insisted it was for my own good and to help me. When we met my attorney, they didn't allow me to get a word in for the first 30 minutes with him. He made them wait in the other room so that he could finally be able to speak with me, and I told him I didn't want this. He asked about me, lots of questions. Finally, when the hearing occurred, my mother broke down sobbing, telling everyone in the room that I needed it, that I was going to die in a ditch somewhere, her exact words, that they just want to help me. The attempt to make me a dependent was denied, as my attorney found me perfectly capable and happily wanting to be independent and thought it unnecessary to make me into a dependent. 4. My sister and I used to speak of me living with her, but because of a medical situation with my nephew and with other family situations going on, my uncle is living with her and my brother-in-law to help with the kids and house. 5. After it being so long, I'm not sure the full name and contact of my old therapist anymore. Only a last name. I don't even know the address of her office, as my parents didn't allow me to learn how to drive until I was 22. I may try to speak with our doctor about referrals, as I know the address at least. I'm just hoping I can find a day off or can find an in-person therapist, as I tried digital and was getting nowhere with the lack of privacy to speak with someone. Oh my goodness, I just realized what that means. I assume, yeah, in your own house you had your parents at your door probably listening in. Ugh, that's awful. Or actually probably coming into your door, unlocking it. Insane. And 6, my bank account is heavily monitored by my mother and she sees everything I do with it. I've been looking into opening a private account. I just worry about a new card coming in since she goes through all of our mail and I work often. And then OP says, finally, there have been many occasions where, when I get especially stressed from being busy with work and school and vent about it, my parents have insisted I just quit my job, focus on school, and they'll take care of me and my bills. I could just stay home and only do school. They stopped recently only because I told them to their faces that if I had to be home and not work, I'd go crazy like that and unalive myself. Dramatic? Yes. Incredibly so, but it is true. Some of the hardest times of my depression were when I was out of a job and trapped at home constantly. Turns out it's probably a mixture of depression and bipolar. We didn't find out I was bipolar until last year when I first spoke with our most recent doctor. And I did attempt but failed. Not that they noticed, just thought I was acting tired and told me to lay down. A somewhat minor thing, I think, but when I drive places, I have to let my mum know where I'm going. And if she says no, then I can't go. Same with trips. And she makes sure that I'm going where I said by tracking me. Oh God. The one time I turned it off, she called me freaking out. Now guys, get in the comments down below. Let me know if you agree with me on this. I think, well, this is my takeaway from what I've just read there. I think that your parents, OP, are doing all this stuff and being so controlling because they think that because you have Asperger's, autism, they're allowed to do that. And I think it's that is in their mind for some reason enabling this terrible, I mean, it's not even parenting, just this terrible control that they have on your life. I think because they think, even though clearly they're just wrong, that you need them so much. But I mean, the attorney said it himself, like, you're completely fine. You're happily independent. You have your own life. What are they doing? The bathing till 14 thing, I think it just highlights that. This is a thing that's been going on for years, decades now probably, where for whatever reason they think that because you have autism, they get to completely control your life and ultimately it sounds like ruin it. It's actually insane. In many ways, is it not just ableist? I think it actually is. Your mother is just infantilizing you, I think, because you have autism. Maybe it's nothing to do with that. I just think that is the reason why in her head she sees it as okay. Your dad, to be fair, just sounds like an awful person anyway. I'm not entirely sure what's going on there, if he is even still around. I couldn't quite work that out, but yeah, no doubt about it. Your mum is a narcissist. But anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. Let me know your thoughts on both stories in the comments down below. The first, obviously, not really entitled parents at all, more just, yeah, murdering parents, but wanted to bring it to you. The second, I'm interested to see your guys' thoughts on it, whether you agree with me or not, but that is just the one thing that sticks in my mind when reading that story is, yeah, I think your autism is the excuse for your mum to do what she does. But yeah, let me know if you agree. Comment down below.